How do I even start this? I have no idea. So I'm just gonna start. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the relaunch of my YouTube channel. Let me take these out. I'm sitting here in a very special room. This room was my sister's room growing up. And after she was a couple years old, this also became a combination music room. We had a table with a turntable. This is the room where I really learned what music was. My parents would always be playing awesome music on the stereo. And here is where the turntable was, like the kids' turntable. This is where I listened to Imagine. This is where I listened to all of, the John Lennon records and my Kenny Rogers records. So this room is very special to me. And I wanted to film this video in this room to talk about my new song, I'm on Your Side. This was, in my career as a musician, the hardest song for me to finish. And it wasn't because lyrics or chords or recording. The reason why this song was so hard for me to finish is because my dad died in the middle of the recording process. I had finished the majority of the record, and I didn't like to share any songs with my dad that I was working on until they were perfect or as best as I could get them, until they were excellent. I didn't want to have any things that I was uncertain about. I wanted to make sure that when I presented a song to him, that it was pretty much basically mixed, maybe before it would be mastered. That's pretty much the only time I would let him hear stuff, or when I would release it. I always wanted to impress him. And I had a mix that was pretty close, and he passed away on June 19th, and I was not even able to listen to the song. I played it at his grave the day of his funeral. It feels very surreal even talking about this now. But it was driving me crazy, and it still does to a point. And I like to think that he's able to somehow hear it on some frequency. That would be nice. But it doesn't give me that same satisfaction of if I were to play it for him. And the reason I mention that is because when my dad would listen to music, he would close his eyes. He wouldn't say a word. He would listen to every single nuance of the song and comments on it, but he would listen. He would listen in a way that made me think about when he would draw or when he would paint. He would disappear. And I like to think that along with the musical gifts I got from my mom, I also got this from my dad. They're both very musical and have great musical appreciation. So I didn't know what to do. And a couple months passed, and I said to myself, I have to finish the song. I have to get it out. And the blockage in my head was the fact that he was never going to be able to hear the song. And it took me several months, and I couldn't even listen to mixes. There was something that was broken in my brain. I could not, that area of creativity was completely enveloped with the pain of grief. And it's since changed, it's evolved, it's something different now that's kind of occupying a different space of my head, and I've been writing like a madman. That thing that I have in my ears when I know that a mix is done or that I'm happy with the levels, it was gone. I had no access to it, and that was terrifying because I've never ever experienced that before. I always know when I think a mix is done or when it's satisfying to me. I spent 9-10 years on my record that came out last year. So I take my time. And I'm very, very familiar with that muscle inside of my brain that knows when it's done, in my opinion. So I couldn't do it. And so I had to step away. And there was a long period where I didn't think I would ever release it, and I didn't even care. It wasn't something that I wanted to even think about. So I stepped away from it and actually started playing this guitar that I have in Chicago. And this was very therapeutic for me. And with the support of a lot of people, I realized I just needed to take my time, and that when the time was ready, it would be ready. And so I slowly started to push myself kind of one weekend at a time, because I had to now objectively listen to the song and reference it, listen to it in the car, see how I felt about it. And every time I would try to do that, I would be reminded by the fact that my dad wouldn't be able to hear it. And that crushed me. And I turned a point. What's the phrase? I turned a corner. I turned a corner one day, and I wish I could use words to explain what it was, but I was ready. And it's Thanksgiving 2020. We went up to Lake Tahoe and grabbed my microphone and a mic stand, and we shot an impromptu music video up there. And I kept thinking, I had a conversation with a friend, and he recently lost his dad. And he said our dads would want us to keep going, keep on. And so this song is so special to me because of that reason. Because I was able to finish it, I was able to get through, and I was so detached from what the actual message is in the song, which is what inspired it. And the story behind that is I decided that I needed to write more, that I didn't want to take 10 years every time I release a record, because, that mathematically wouldn't be good. And so I started to write, and I sat in my kitchen in Hollywood, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and this chorus came out that was... But I think you're pretty grand, clapping with my hands, shooting stands. I think you're pretty grand. That came out, and I was like, ooh, I like that. And the whole intro was and I was like, ooh, I like that too. The only lyrics that I kept primarily were the chorus lyrics. And I worked it, and then I stopped. And then I didn't start again till quarantine. I want to say like May. And there's a book that I got, I'll link it in the description. It's this amazing songwriting book. And I said, I need to dig in. I went in with this attitude of I'm going to get this stuff done. I'm going to write like crazy. And then I started this song, and a couple of years went by. So I said, okay, I'm going to change this. I took out this songwriting book, and I revamped the whole song. I came up with I'm watching all these rising stars while I just sit here in my car. And then I went into the song. And the song is about, I was in Hollywood, and the car that I had at the time broke down in the middle of an intersection when I was waiting to turn left. I remember exactly where I was. I was on Sunset and La Brea, turning left against a green light. And if you've ever driven in Hollywood, or if you're from Hollywood, or you live in Hollywood or LA, you know what this is like, right? So picture that. I'm in the middle of the intersection, just just north of Kermit the Frog, Charlie Chaplin at, I can't even think of the name of that studio, Henson Sound. And my car dies in the middle of the intersection, right? And so it was a profound moment. I finally got it started again and got out of the intersection. But it made me think about how I felt like I was watching all of these other people find tremendous success while I just sat there in my car at the green light. Everybody actually was really cool. What I realized one day, driving down Cienega, about to get on the 10, and there's a billboard. It has a quote by Milton Berle that says, "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door." I was like, whoa, you ever read a quote that like just hits you at just the right time? I probably drove by that billboard 100 times and I'm sure it was there, but I didn't see it until I was ready to see that message. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's what I have to do. I have to build a door. And I got very excited. This song is my door. This song is about the doors that I've built because I realized, you know what? I have to figure out my own way. To think you're pretty grand, I'm clapping with my hands, cheering in the stands. Because I pictured myself like rooting myself on metaphorically. Because you have to do that. If you are in it, if you are doing music or whatever you're doing, you know what I'm talking about. You need to have your own back. You need to be building doors. You need to be clapping for yourself and cheering yourself along. You're trying your best and you're in a studio or you're working on your book or whatever it is you're doing. And it's just you. It's you and the page and the guitar, the typewriter, the computer, whatever it is, the camera. It's just you. So that's what this song is about. It's about feeling like an imposter. All those doubts that creep in, and those are things that I never wanted to sing about. I never wanted to talk about that stuff. Having that anxiety, having the doubt. Do you ever second guess everything? This song is about I'll just use I statements. I don't want to speak for you. I have that voice. I have that little annoying voice. It's like a little troll. And I have to kindly ask it to leave, but he's going to be there for a little while. So that voice is there. And it's annoying. And I've learned how to deal with it. But this is about recognizing that voice is there, accepting it, and moving on. And so this song is about my particular struggle with having those doubts. And instead of running away from them, letting them ride around with me in the car, embracing them, looking them right in the eye, I really told my truth. I told what I needed to tell. So that's what it's about. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video.